I'm fatigued.
That's a low weight, man. That's a low
Okay,
weight.
clicking on 2023, how we doing? Yeah, I know it's Sunday, I know it's too. All right, we have a great panel lined up. Like I said, we're going to have a little conversation about voice acting and some of the mechanics and some of the fun and some of the perils and some of the pleasures. So, we're this amazing cast. First of all, he is an actor whose credits include Digimon, Naruto, and Lupin the Third. Please welcome Doug Gerhold. Yes, he's an actor director whose credits include Skate the Infinity, Final Fantasy, and Dragon Ball Super. Please welcome David Mills. And she's an actress whose roles include Digimon, Bleach, and of course Sailor Moon. Please welcome Michelle Ruff. And returning to the collective on stage after what, 9 years? 1,000 years, yes. She's an actress whose credits include Seven Deadly Sins, Power Ranger Hyperforce, and Miraculous Tales of Ladybug and Cat, or as if you didn't know, yeah. Please welcome Christina V.
Hi, Patty.
Hi.
How you doing?
Hi, Patty. How are you?
Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a round of applause for Patty. Come on. Patty Hawk.
I just love you guys, this balls and all. Oh, and now joining us since credits include Attack on Titan, Blue Exorcist, and also Miraculous Tales of Ladybug and Cat, welcome Bryce Maxwell.
Right.
That's okay.
Like many of my characters.
Oh,
It's all good. We'll work together. Thank you.
And here you go.
Oh, you connected my own microphone.
Good morning, everybody. How's everyone doing? Sorry to disrupt. Carry on. Carry on. Well, guys, thank you for joining us here this weekend. It's been a really fun day. It's really great having you all here. This audience has absolutely loved it. Like I said, we've got a whole really good potpourri here of voice acting talent. So this is on all those lines. So let's go back to the basics because, like Narnia, nobody ever gets it the same way twice. Can each of you tell our audience how you got into this racket?
Bryce, would you like to start?
Sure, starting over here. I was born into a family of actors, and my dad was working on Power Rangers when I was a kid. Have you guys heard of that show? Yeah, he played Rito Revolta, the skeleton dude on Power Rangers, and a bunch of other monsters and things for Saban. And I used to love to go to work with him. They had like a bunch of the rubber suits lining the stairs to get up into the booth. And, at the end of one of his sessions, they needed a kid's voice, and he's like, "He's a kid, throw him in the booth!" And that's how I got started. Yeah, gotta love it. Right place, right time.
Yeah, his dad was a very proud father because he would always brag about your wrestling. This guy's pretty accomplished. Don't challenge him to a wrestling match because he probably can't. That's your thing. That's cool.
He was awesome. You couldn't miss him. His voice just like shook the entire room, and I have the exact opposite voice because mine hasn't changed since middle school. But it works out. It worked nicely.
Hi.
Your family of creatures is growing.
They're holding hands now. I wanted to be a voice actor since I was a little baby, and I wanted to be a voice actor because of Sailor Moon. And I love that show, and I wanted to be in Sailor Moon. So when I was 16, I went to Anime Expo, and I did a panel where they let you try out like a mock audition for voiceover, and the company Bang Zoom invited me to audition for real at their studio. And that's how I got my first job. I'm a little happy, you guys know that means?
Let's see. My very first job was a radio commercial in Michigan, and I used to work at a talent agency. I was booking talent and studying to be a producer behind the scenes at Michigan State. So the guy I worked for was like, just go in for this commercial. And I was like, no, I really don't want to. And he's like, just go do it. Just go to the audition. And I was like, fine. So I go to the audition, and like a week later, I'm in the car with my roommate, and we're driving, and she's like, "Wait, isn't that you on the radio?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it is." They had taken my audition and just like used it, never booked me, like never paid me. Yeah, I know. So I called my boss and I was like, my spot is on the radio, like right now. And he's like, "What?" So he called and got me my money. I mean, it was like, $50 or something, $75. But that was my first gig.
Nice.
Awesome. So I have a similar kind of story as Christina. I was really a fan of like anime video games when I was growing up, and Dragon Ball was like my favorite anime ever. And I used to watch it all the time, and it was great. So when I was about 15, 16, I got really interested in the idea of everybody behind the scenes and like the concept of voice actors. So I started practicing on my own and doing like little fan projects with a group of friends I made on like community forums online. And I moved around a lot. I took some acting classes. I made a demo. I started in New York a little bit, and then I moved to Dallas, and then now I'm in LA, and it's just been like, it's a whole saga, but that's kind of how I got started. That was just like a fan, like a video.
Nice.
Yeah.
My entry into voiceover was kind of backwards. I moved to LA. Michelle and I went to the same school,
Yes.
by the way, in Michigan State.
Yeah, I think we were there at the same time
We were, yeah.
and never met each other.
It was like a campus of 60,000, so
I
it was
know.
a pretty good chance we would cross paths. When I first moved to Los Angeles, I wanted to be an on-camera actor, and I had to pay the bills, so I did a temp job. My first one was being an assistant executive VP of music at Saban Entertainment. So like I was in the middle of the casting and all the music and stuff, and I didn't realize that voiceover was a job. And one of the girls in casting, Rita Machka, she's like, "Hey, do you sing?" And I'm like, "Of course I do. I have a ponytail." I had a ponytail all the time. And so my first paying gig was I sang a song in a Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen movie.
What?
It's called Mummies Have Mummies Too.
What?
And did somebody go whoop because they've heard it or because they think it's awful? Yeah, you can look it up on your phone. It's a real thing. Some actor lip synced me, but it's like I had a really crappy English accent, and I rapped. It's pretty awesome. It's
Oh no.
So yeah, so then after that, Digimon and blah blah blah. Here we are.
Mummies have mommies.
It's
I
true.
know that song.
Throw my own 2 cents in 2005, Disney said they were looking for improv actors that also played video games. So went in on a cold audition after I walked away from acting for several years, and it was for the Monsters Inc. Laugh Force show. Everybody's been to Disney in the past several years, and I opened that show and was there for 13 years. So that was But it was amazing because they threw together a bunch of like equity. It was all equity actors, but it was like some people did over here, some people from there, but nobody really had any direct hands-on, just voice acting in general. And 6 weeks in, just about 90% of the cast was on vocal rest because
Wow.
Imagineering wanted us. We do 2 characters a show, 8 to 10 shows a day, and it was just too stressing. Plus, they wanted to really go into the weeds, all that stuff. Yeah. So we might go into that too about the movie too. But for each of you, but everybody sort of broke on in, and then you sort of tread water, and you sort of work your way up. For each of you, what do you consider to be like your solidifying role? When you really felt like, okay, I booked this. I guess I really am into this with both feet, and this is the direction I'm going into the foreseeable future. What point did you realize?
Grumpy Bear from Care Bears. For real. I mean, it's not anime, obviously, but it was the first real big original animated show that I've done, and I was like, oh my god, actors, we're all sitting in a room and we're acting, amongst each other. It's a really cool thing because anime is just more technical than I really care for. Anybody still struggle with lip sync? I still, after 25 years, it's just I'm not great. I'm not great.
I guess I'll go. I suppose when I booked, my first thing I booked with Funimation was One Piece film Bold. Everybody saw it. I voiced Tanaka, the big-headed guy in that film. I think that was the first time where I felt that I could make this a career and just kind of keep it going. So that was really awesome.
You know, it's interesting as actors, I don't know about you guys, but there's always like that, oh, am I gonna work again? Or am I working tomorrow? Or what's gonna happen when this show ends? So I've never obviously now I feel like I have my feet on the ground, but for a long time, even when I was booking lead roles in a lot of lead roles in different shows, I would always be like, oh, have I made it? Is this it? Like it just never, you just always, when you're working for yourself, technically we're self-employed.
Yeah.
You always wonder where the next job is gonna come from.
There's crickets, you just
Right. We're gig
Exactly.
professionals.
It's hard to enjoy the moments. You're always looking behind and ahead at the same
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
You
I
don't
mean,
really hear-
that is like rule number one to learn, I think, in this business is to just enjoy the moment and don't worry about the next gig. Because it's gonna come, especially if you're talented, like these people are, so.
For me, I think, okay, there was a time where I was offered like a completely different career path, and it would have been extremely lucrative, but I would have had to give up voice acting, and that was to be the face of this huge esports company. Like I would have been like Christina, I won't say the name of it, but they were like giant, and they offered me that job. And I was really torn because that sounded really cool, but also I just booked Sailor Moon. And I was like, I feel like this was Sailor Moon was my dream, and I think even though this amazing other branching life is on this side, I think I need to stick with the voice acting. And then a few months later, I booked Ladybug. I think it was a few months after that. Maybe it was like a year later. And I just think that was this is my path.
I think for me, a real defining moment in my career was Masa Nikita in Durarara. If you remember that show?
Yes, I do.
This was back when they were doing auditions in person. And for some reason, I don't know why, my wife was with me that day, so I was trying to show off to her. I was just like, oh yeah, I'll just walk in there and grab these sides, read for these characters, and I'll pop in real fast and just book this role, And, I was feigning this confidence, which is exactly what Masa Nikita did. So I got in the booth and I was just him. And I think it kind of came through. But it was because of Durarara that I got my first invite to a panel at a convention, which was Anime Expo. I think you might have been on that panel.
Probably because I played Henri.
Yes, yes. Many of my favorite lines to Henri is Masa Nikita. Live by the booby, die by the booby. Good morning, guys. If you haven't seen Durarara, you should watch it. Maybe in a couple years. So yeah, it was because of that show that I got invited to Anime Expo, and there were about 2,500 people in that panel room, and I was like, what are we doing right now? I'm just gonna pretend to be like these guys sitting next to me. And had a great time, and that kind of set off my adventure at conventions, which really has been so incredible.
You mean your conventure?
It's been an adventure for me.
Wow.
Sorry.
Two more questions. I'll go over the audience one. What's been the biggest delight of doing all this?
Having my child actually like something I do.
Wow.
Because I'm a mess with this kid. But I was a monster truck on Hot Wheels, and that finally, he was into it for like 2 weeks.
Oh.
It was awesome.
Isn't that the best to win like the cool dad points for being something they watch?
It did not last long, but yeah.
I was in a show called Ruff, Tweet, and Dave. I play a talking hamster that wears hats. And my kids loved that show. And I was like, who's your favorite character? And they picked Ruff. It wasn't me. I'm like, oh, so close. But they do like Cat Noir and Miraculous Ladybug, so that's been very, very cool.
This is part of the reason you guys.
Yes.
Here, chew on these for a while. There you go.
Yeah, give him candy.
Yeah, give him more sugar. Yeah.
I'm not a parent.
Maybe I have no kids to watch my stuff. My cat will watch it, maybe. No, he'll want to be in the booth. Every time I record at home, he's like, let me inside. I want to be in anime now. I mean, I love meeting everybody at these conventions. I mean, it's always awesome. It's really delightful. And working on some really cool properties. I've gotten to do stuff on some of my favorite things, like Dragon Ball, Final Fantasy, and that's always such a big nerd out moment for me. So it's really special.
I like at the autograph table when people come up and tell you their story and how like a show that you're in helped them get through a tough time or change their life, or that to me is like, wow, what I'm doing. It's like, because we sit in the booth by ourselves technically recording, so to see how it's actually affecting people in a positive way is really cool.
Same. I love meeting everybody at conventions and hearing everybody's stories. And also, a really important thing for me when I was growing up was I wanted to be able to buy a house and live in a home that I owned. And I was able to do that by myself. Thank you. But I feel really so kind of proud that I was able to do that from doing what I loved doing as a kid.
Yeah, ditto. I think hearing the stories, like Michelle was saying, like it's something really special. You never anticipate your work to be heard and connect with people that deeply. So it's so meaningful when you hear that stuff back from people.
And finally, what was the one booking that you're like, yeah, sure, no problem, I'll do that. That made you do the happy dance. You got it.
I can go first on this one. I was a fan of Attack on Titan before I got the audition. I watched everything in Japanese, absolutely loved the show. Was talking to my buddy Patrick Seitz about how much I love the show. He got the audition from Funimation. I live in LA. Funimation is based in Dallas, Texas. Now Crunchyroll, based in Dallas. I'd never auditioned for them before, and he said to Mike McFarlane, hey, my buddy Bryce loves the show, can he read for you? And Mike was auditioning from all different parts of the country, and he's like, sure, yeah, send the sides. So I read for Aaron, Armin, and Levi. Lost my voice in the audition process, hoped that it would connect with Mike, and got a call a couple weeks later. He's like, hey, this is Mike McFarlane from Funimation. I heard your audition, and I loved what you did. I'm wondering if you're interested in playing the role of Aaron in Attack on Titan. I'm like, oh, hi there, Mike. Yeah, that sounds great. Really looking forward to working with you. I'm like, yes! Oh my God, this is so cool! Like, I just screamed for I don't know how long. And yeah, it's been incredible.
My dad was named after Donald Duck.
Oh.
His name's Duck.
His name is Duck. So when I got the call that I was going to do Donald Duck and DuckTales, that was really cool.
That's so cool. Fun. Probably for me, my woohoo moment was when I booked Rukia in Bleach, because the process for that, it was different, back in the day. We went in to audition, and how it worked. I think Johnny was explaining it yesterday. one of the studios, they would have like all the sides on the table, right? And you could pick which sides you wanted to read. So, you know, you grab as many, you know, scripts as possible. So I grabbed a couple scripts, probably for Orihime and, you know, for Rukia. And I ended up getting a call back for Rukia. And the callback process is always like, okay, that was great. We liked your audition, but can you do it this way? Can you do it this way? Make it this, can you do this? So, you know, when you walk out of the room, you never know. It's like you just have this one of those moments where you just have to like, let it go. Because it's gonna be yours or it isn't, and there's nothing you can do about it. So when I got the call from Jamie offering me the role for Rukia, I was like, yes, oh my God, yes, absolutely. I didn't really know like the extent of the show or how big it was at the time in Japan and how big it was going to be here. So in that moment, I didn't realize like I would be still working on it this many years later. I just at that time I was really like psyched to be offered that role.
That's incredible. I have one in particular that's a little more recent. So I've always been a huge fan of Final Fantasy VII. I think it's an incredible game. They've made so many iterations over the years. And then Final Fantasy VII Remake was coming down the line. I was really, really excited for it as a fan. I was still living in Dallas at the time. And so I was planning to move, this is 2020, I was planning to move to LA in the summer, and COVID happened. So COVID hits in March. I'm like, okay, cool, I'm stuck at home. Final Fantasy VII drops, so I'm like, oh, well, I'm not doing anything, I can just play this game, finish the game, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing, the cast is amazing, I really want to do something like this, and I decided anyway to move to LA in the middle of the height of COVID. I know, I was like, okay, well, why not, we'll see what happens. So I moved in June. I like drove across country with all my stuff and tried to like not, you know, get COVID and die. So I had already gotten with my agent before I had moved out there, so I was getting auditions. Get to LA, not a couple weeks later, after moving, I get some auditions for FF7 Remake. I was like, okay, cool, awesome, not nervous at all. So I read for a few characters, and I don't hear anything for a few weeks. And then I get a call back for Vice Immaculate. And then I didn't hear anything for about 4 months. I was like, I don't know, I probably didn't book it, whatever, it's fine. COVID's still happening, you know, whatever, and around close to maybe October, I get an email asking me, and we're all still recording remotely at this time, so they're asking me with COVID protocols if I was willing to come into the studio, Skylark, to record for Vice, and I was like, yeah, sure, I'll think of, yeah, it should be fine, and I, you know, respond, and then I, you know, freak out. Because that was like also, for me, a really defining factor when I moved, that I would be able to do work out there and maintain, you know, what I love doing. Because, you know, in Texas, there's not as much work with different studios. It's like maybe Funimation or Crunchyroll and a few other places. So being able to work with all kinds of different clients in LA is really special and cool. Yeah.
I had a fun email a couple of months ago, well, about a month ago. Everybody knows Patrick Seitz is the voice actor. He also does a lot of directing. Mm-hmm. And one of the shows that he directs that I had really wanted to get on was Agretzko. Anybody know Agretzko? Thank you. Okay. So I finally got an email from him. He's like, hey buddy. And he just sent me the picture of the character. So I played in the 5th season Ikari. And he's like this crazy, I don't even know what he is. I think they call him a sugar glider or something, but so insane. And I'm like, oh my God, finally a character I like feel on a soul level. So yeah, he's like, come up with something, and I'm like, oh, I'm already there. So that was a blast. Yeah.
Mine was a delayed reaction. after being in Hong Kong for several years, they decided to bring back the Muppet Mobile Lab at Disney, which is an animatronic Dr. Bunsen Honeydew on a Segway, like pedaled by Beaker, this big thing. And it's using the Disney magic, you know, it's a real life cartoon. I got booked for that. Oh, you're leaving? Where are they going?
I have to get back to my dad so I can go stay in the library.
If you want, we'll give you a pass and you don't have to wait in line. We'll do the front. You stay here.
Bryce is like, what?
More candy. All right, thank you. Well, that's our show.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, cool. I remember they were protesting that, or some broken traction or whatever. And then they're like, okay, who's the director of that? Well, this guy. But you'll be working with coaching with Dave. I'm like, Dave who? Dave Goals. Dave Goals is the guy who does Bunsen Honeydew on the Muppets, and Gonzo the Great, and Waldorf, and Zoot, and all those other ones. So I spent a whole day working with him on the voice and everything else, and then after lunch he pulls out this suitcase and he opens it up. He says, yeah, I thought maybe you should talk to the guy himself. And he actually pulled out the Bunsen Honeydew, and I spent an hour talking to Bunsen Honeydew like this. And it's amazing how quickly you just focus on Dave's right there, but I'm looking at Bunsen in his hand.
Do you have any pictures?
That's
Pictures or it didn't happen, man.
pictures of me and Dave. I can't a picture of the. I'll show you later.
I did a Disney World ride.
Yeah.
I did Avatar Flight of Passage.
So fun.
Yeah. That was a cool job.
Absolutely. All right, we got a few minutes to time. I think I'll do this Donahue style. I'll go around. I'll take hands and come together. So we'll start with this handsome fellow here. Hey, what's your name?
Hello, my name is Ricky. I'm sorry, should I hold it?
No.
Okay.
If you mess it up, I lose my deposit.
Fair enough. So I come from a background of theater and musical theater, and when I do shows, typically I'll have like a physicality thing that I take from the character that I play. For example, one time I switched the way I would fix my glasses. Obviously it's a little different when you're doing voice acting, but I was wondering if you had any sort of phrases or any sorts of I guess, vocal twinges that you guys have that you take from your different characters.
I do this a lot. So I have kind of a face that I make that helps me get back into voice. So, for example, in the Seven Deadly Sins, I play Meliodas, and to do Meliodas' voice, I raise my eyebrows so high it stretches out my vocal cords. And I play Zeldris, his brother, and I lower my eyebrows. It's all in the eyebrows, I don't know why. So it's different for every character, but I think changing your face and doing that physicality also changes your voice. You just can't move too much, because it'll sound like, So you have to do all that while kind of staying on mic.
For Kilua, and then for all the boys I played after Kilua, my warm-up phrase is, I'm a boy. I'm a boy. I'm a boy.
Mine is for when I do little boys. It's yeah, come on.
I guess I do some physicality stuff. Like Bryce was saying, in the booth you can't move much, but maybe your posture changes or something you do with your hands. Like whenever I do Frieza, I kind of get more
Butch.
Butch, yes. Frieza's not Butch, man. He kind of looks his nose down at everybody, so I end up looking down, tilt my head up, and I kind of move my hand around a lot because it's a lot higher in my range. So I just kind of lay around with that.
I am lucky to do are you on Enchantimals still? Oh, there's a show called Enchantimals. I think it's just on.
I removed myself.
Good for you. So it's a cute show. It's kind of like Monster High, but woodland animals. And all these girls have their besties, and we're like little cheapy characters. And I play Flap, Peacock, And to get into that voice, I'd always have to say, because it was like, kind of thing, so, yeah. And I would do that in the closet in my office, and my child would kind of peek in and be like, Daddy, are you okay?
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Whatever it takes, whatever it takes for you to get that character in. So. Hey, what's your name?
Adam. Well, first of all, again, I always say this, thank you guys for everything you do to bring these characters to life. We so appreciate watching it. My question for you is, as every convention is different, do you guys ever have any convention horror stories that you guys go to a convention, you're like, oh, never doing that one?
Well, that's a passer. You may pass or play on that question. And remember, there are children.
This one's my favorite ever.
I haven't really had any bad con experiences.
Yeah, I feel like I've been really fortunate also, just to not have any bad experiences. Usually I'm just having a good time at these things.
Let's flip it then. What's been one of the best con experiences you had?
So, with the Demon Slayer fandom and all of the people that love Inosuke, I've started meeting a lot of people that have been motivated to work out, which is so cool. I met someone in New York. He came up in Inosuke cosplay, so that's shirtless, boar head, loud. He was in great shape, and he's like, because of Inosuke, I lost 200 pounds. Wow. 200 pounds motivated by the character. Literally changed his life because Inosuke told him to train his ass up! I mean, mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. I just couldn't believe that he had achieved that. I was just so happy for him. It was just awesome to see.
What an inspiration. Have some candy.
Yes! I was hoping you'd give me candy.
Thank you for helping that guy lose weight. Have some candy.
Yes!
Oh, my favorite, I think, is the very first Sailor Moon panel we did at Anime Expo. When we got to meet up the other cast members for the first time. It was really cool.
One of my probably most fun moments was that first SAO panel that I did with you guys. You may have had one the year before, but with Gun Gale, I was brought in. And I just remember like sitting in that room and there were thousands of people and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. And then the SAO chant, like I have, my husband got everybody like all riled up at the end. And we have it all on video with everyone like just screaming, SAO, SAO, like thousands of people. It was just like a moment. Do you remember that?
I love those panels so
Yeah,
much.
yeah.
And they always play the dirtiest bloopers. It's the best. Because I give the dirtiest bloopers possible as Kirito. And Hiroe picks the bloopers. And she always picks the dirty ones. Ones that I'm like, I can't believe they played that. And then I start laughing so hard I'm crying. So I absolutely love those panels. Yeah.
Super fun.
I mean, there's two ends of it. I mean, as Frieza, I love getting to degrade people. It's super funny. People are just like, say mean things to me, like gladly. But then on the other end, the nice wholesome end, is with Skate the Infinity. I've had a lot of people come up and talk to me about how the show has kind of helped them come out to their families or their friends, or kind of self-identify as like transgender or non-binary, and they tell me how much the show has affected them, and it's really special to me. And I really think having a source where they can be open with you, and it's just really touching to have that impact on somebody's life, you know, and be able to kind of, find themselves.
This moment right now, you guys. My favorite moment. One of my first cons was Anime NYC, when we did that Blue Pump thing. And I remember not really knowing what to expect. And as soon as they opened the doors, I hear this one. Oh my God! Tears. And this woman was so touched by a character I played in Naruto, Asuma, and how I couldn't understand her because she was just weeping. She said, "You're my dad." And I'm like, no. No. But she's like, "You've been my surrogate father through this character, Asuma." And she's like, "You don't understand." She's like, I have a very hard life. And she's like, "But you have given me so much hope to know that there's good men." And I was just like, "That's not me, you know that, right?" I'm kind of an a-hole, but the character is very honorable. But no, that moment right there just set the tone, because being able to meet you guys and understand like some of the things that we do, it's not just entertainment, it's touching. And thank you so much.
Time for one more, we'll do this every week. What's your name?
And I have a question for Kristen. So, how do you go from?
No question is supposed to be directed towards the entire panel, right? Does, but ask it.
For all of you, how do you go from such a really high character to like a really low voice character?
Tight underwear.
Oh.
No, that's all I got.
Tight underwear. I don't know. I'm weird. I have a really broad range, and I don't really know. People ask me all the time, like, "How do you do like this really high voice?" But then my voice goes really low. Yeah. So I kind of do everything all over the spectrum. But I don't know how to explain how to do it. I think it's just like vocal placement. I kind of make everything more forward if it's higher, and then just back and low.
Vocal placement, and I think breath control.
Breath control.
Is a part of it, you know. I think as you go, I don't know about you guys, but the more you're working and doing different characters, the more you find placement. You know what I mean? And then it's a matter of like bookmarking in your brain, like, oh, okay, this is where this character
It's like muscle
sits.
memory.
Yeah, exactly.
It helps to be a little touched in the head too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I do eyebrow thing, yeah. Also, I guess there's little things. This isn't really how you do that, but like if I'm doing a high-pitched voice, I'll drink cold water because it actually tightens your vocal cords. And then I just do lukewarm water if I'm like exploring my deeper range. Just another random little tidbit picked up along the way.
I can do deeper voices better in the morning.
Yeah.
Yes.
When you first wake up.
Good morning.
I also use dark, disgusting coffee to do Inosuke's voice.
Yeah.
And I have like black tar with me that I take a sip of between every take, so I'm just like, yeah! And that's Inosuke. It's all about.
Does anybody know Jasper on TikTok?
What is that?
It's literally just like this little doll, and it talks like this. And I don't know, it just.
Like obsessed.
I'm obsessed.
For being the only person that knows.
Jasper,
There you go.
so. Thank you.
Panelists, what's in the pipeline or upcoming projects that you're allowed to share with us?
Nothing. No, that we can share with you.
Yeah. Nothing that we can share yet. Well, I mean, I'm working on Trigun Stampede right now. I'm playing with Legato, so that's really exciting. Yeah.
I just directed my first original animation. It's a pilot that this guy, it's super fun.
You should get Bryce involved.
I wish I could get all of you involved. I did not do the casting, but if it gets, what it is this guy, Ray Kaufman, he's an artist in Kentucky, and he created his own manga and graphic novel. He turned it into a series. He's got 13 episodes, but he's doing everything like himself. He's like a one-man show right now. So I ended up coming on board to play one of the characters, and we just had a super cool connection. And he was interviewing directors. He interviewed like 10 different directors, and he asked me if I would be interested. And I said, sure. So he sent me the whole script, so I read through the script, and I was super upfront with him and honest about like the changes that should be made and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, you know what, I'm gonna hire you because you're the only person that's been honest with me about like, about what I have and what we're doing. And I said, okay, all right, cool. So we just recorded like 2 months ago, Johnny Young Bosch is the main character, and then Steve Bloom is in it, I'm in it, and John Eric Bentley, I don't know if you knows him, yeah. So it hopefully will be coming soon. If he doesn't get it picked up, it'll at least be on like YouTube on his channel. But it's called Aurora.
Aurora.
Yes.
Love that.
Got some Ladybug stuff in the pipeline. I'm also almost done with my second album. Always releasing more music, and yeah.
I've been talking a lot, but it's very hard to remember what I can talk about and what I can't. I mean, I know that there's lots of stuff coming. One thing I think it's already been like announced on Netflix, and you guys probably wouldn't know about this one. There's a show that's a Brazilian dub. It's called The Nutty Boy. And I play Nutty. He has like a little pan on his head. It's so cool being able to jump in and do something totally off the wall and totally wacky. Highly recommend you check it out. I really love my work. Just cracking up.
Is it live action?
No, it's an animated show. It's a dub. But it's really, really goofy. It's just about this kid who moves to a new town and goes to school, and weird stuff happens. It's just nutty. So yeah, it's really fun. My kids love it. Check it out. There's new episodes coming, I think, next month. So you can binge the first piece, and then there's more coming. You watch Nutty Boy? Awesome! Thank you! Thank you for watching. I had such a good time recording it. You get candy!
Panelists, thank you so much for joining us here today. They will be at their tables for a little while yet, so please stop on by, grab a picture, grab an order. After forget, smiles are free. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us here at Collecticon 2023.